Imagine opening the fridge and feeling that sudden, almost primal emptiness, because none of those bright packages, none of those polished slices of meat could have existed 3 million years ago. Back then, the world was a harsh, open savanna, and every bite was a gamble between life and death. The first humans didn't choose between steak and salad. They fought for enough calories to keep the heart beating until sunrise. We are about to step into that ancient world, to trace the line from the first cracked stone to the first flicker of fire, and discover exactly what our ancestors put on their plates. The story isn't about a neat, balanced menu. It's about raw, opportunistic eating that shaped the brain's love for sweet, salty, and fatty flavors, cravings that still echo in our modern cravings for chips, candy, and butter. In the earliest days, the menu was all about the ground. Tough grasses, stubborn tubers, wild berries, and the occasional leafy shoot made up the bulk of what early hominins gathered. Those roots were rich in carbohydrates, but they required relentless digging and chewing, a labor that would have left any modern person winded. Insects, especially termites and beetles, offered a surprising source of protein and fat. A single termite mound could provide enough calories to keep a small group alive for a day. And the high-fat content of these tiny creatures was a hidden treasure in a world where animal meat was scarce. The act of sharing these finds forged early social bonds. When one individual uncovered a cache of edible roots, the whole group benefited, reinforcing cooperation that would later become the backbone of human societies. Even today, we instinctively feel a pull toward sharing food, a behavior rooted in those first foraging trips. But the savannah was not a garden. It was also a hunting ground ruled by predators. The breakthrough that changed the game came in the form of a simple stone edge, a tool chipped from flint around 2.6 million years ago. With that edge, early humans could slice through hide, rip flesh from a carcass, and crack open the hard bones that held the most nutrient-dense part of any animal, the marrow. Scavenging became a viable strategy, turning the leftovers of a lion's kill into a feast of protein and fat. The marrow, a thick, oily substance, supplied a concentration of calories that no plant could match, and the act of extracting it required both skill and courage, as it often meant approaching dangerous predators. The first use of fire, which appeared roughly 1.5 million years ago, amplified these advantages. Cooking softened tough plant fibers, made meat easier to chew, and unlocked nutrients that raw food kept locked away. Heating also broke down toxins in certain roots, turning something poisonous into a safe source of energy. The warmth of fire didn't just cook food, it forged a new relationship between humans and their environment, allowing them to expand their diet and eventually their brain. All these dietary shifts, gathering, insect hunting, bone marrow scavenging, and cooking wired the brain to seek out sweet, salty, and fatty sensations. The ancient reward system that lit up when a hunter tasted the sweet sap of a fruit or the rich taste of animal fat is still firing in us when we reach for a sugary snack or a salty chip. Those cravings are not just habits, they are survival programs encoded in our DNA millions of years ago. Now picture yourself standing on that sun-baked plain, the heat pressing down, the horizon dotted with the silhouettes of predators, and the only food in sight is a handful of beetles or a piece of raw bone. What would you be willing to eat if it meant staying alive? Let me know what you think in the comments. Imagine the first flicker of flame licking the night sky, the crackle of dry twigs turning into a steady glow. That tiny ember was more than warmth. It was a catalyst that reshaped the very fabric of human existence. By coaxing the raw flesh of a carcass into a tender, aromatic stew, fire unlocked calories that had previously been locked behind hard bone and fibrous muscle. The softening of plant fibers meant that roots once too tough to chew could be mashed into a nourishing paste, while the heat broke down bitter compounds that would have otherwise turned a potential meal into a poison. In that glow, early humans discovered that the act of cooking was not merely a convenience, but a profound partnership with the environment, one that allowed the brain to grow larger, the body to become more efficient, and the social group to gather around a shared source of sustenance. The brain, you see, is an organ that demands a disproportionate amount of energy. When the first hominins began to extract marrow, to roast meat, and to blend sweet sap with fatty tissue, they were feeding a neural engine that required more fuel than any plant alone could provide. This surge of energy supported the development of complex language, intricate tool-making, and the capacity for abstract thought. Yet the very mechanisms that powered this evolutionary leap also embedded deep-seated cravings into the wiring of the mind. The sweet burst of a ripe berry, the salty snap of a dried leaf, the rich melt of animal fat. Each of these sensations triggered a flood of dopamine, reinforcing the behavior that secured survival. Those ancient reward pathways persist today, lighting up when a modern palate encounters a sugary soda or a salty chip, even though the original need for those nutrients has long since faded. But the story of early nutrition is not solely one of ingenuity and adaptation. It also carries a darker shade. TT are the grim, salty tang of testament to the fermented fish extremes of survival. Cut richness of animal marks on products' bones, patterns of their breakage appeal consistent with rooted in the marrow same extraction. Today flesh suggests that F-cake, in moments of dire scarcity, some groups turn to the most desperate of options, consuming members of their own species. These findings do not imply a cultural norm of ritualistic cannibalism, with its endless environmental rows of pressure, source of yet the underlying calories, marrow and fat. By recognizing that underscores the cravings are not primal, merely a drive to secure the matter of most willpower, but a legacy of energizing survival food programming available, regardless of the moral cost. Transformed, so too did the menu. To spread of pockets grasslands of gave way to forest pockets of forest, and with it eating came new tubers, berries. They were about, and Homo marked a turning point where tool reinforcing sophistication social bonds allowed for more efficient hunting, shared the experience of a meal created a sense of belonging and trust, this scavenging. Bring down where prey that once meals often roamed beyond serve as the reach, steady supply of muscle, the consumption of organ meat, the minerals now. Evolutionary think about the journey that has advantage. Agriculture, first when beetles humans clutched in began to child's hand to the grains and legumes, reshaping the food landscape once again. Challenges, the next time a monocultures strikes susceptibility to famine and the gradual loss of the diverse nutrient profile that a foraging lifestyle offered. Yet even in this new era, is this a signal from a brain that instance? TT are the grim salty tang of testament to the fermented fish, coveted hunter across the plains. Today, consuming members of their own species, you are echoing a lineage that stretches back millions of years. The modern desperate supermarket aisle, with its endless environmental rows of pressure-processed foods, last is a far cry from the resort when the sun-baked savannah, similar. Act of the brain still seeks quick sources, and the body still hunted animal, or responds with a pleasure to the intake of sugar, salt, and fat. Understanding this connection can be empowering. By recognizing that underscores the cravings are not primal, merely a drive to secure the matter of most willpower, but a legacy of energizing survival food programming, choices about as what do you feed your climate body. Transformed, consider, for a moment to spread of pockets grasslands of gave way to forest, berries. Gatherings around fire were not just about nourishment, they were about storytelling, the teaching, and Homo marked a turning point where tool reinforcing sophistication's social bonds. Shared the experience of a meal created a sense of belonging and true, essential for cooperative hunting and collective defense. Eating spears persists in tipped with stone contemporary culture. Bring down where prey that once meals often roamed beyond serve as the reach backdrop for celebrations, steady supply of muscle meat and organ tissue negotiations, rich in rituals. Breaking like bread together contributed to the health and continues to signal reproductive unity success of these groups, echoing the ancient practice of sharing a roasted root or a piece of marrow. Now, comfort of your own further kitchen. Evolutionary think about the journey that has advantage brought food to your plate. First, when beetles humans clutched in began to child's hand to the grains and legumes sophisticated cuisine of modern gastronomy, that carries the shift from an imprint of diet to a handful of countless cultivated generations of adaptation, innovation, resilience. Strikes. Yet even in this new era, is this a signal from a brain that instance needed to locate the sweetest fruit to survive, or is it a habit formed by the abundance of the present? By reflecting on the deep roots of your appetite, you can begin to navigate the modern food landscape with a perspective that honors both your evolutionary heritage and your current health goals. What do you think about the link between ancient survival strategies and today's eating habits? Have you ever caught yourself reaching for a snack that seems out of place for the moment, only to realize it's an echo of a primal need? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing how these ideas resonate with your own experiences. If this exploration of our dietary past sparked your curiosity, consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing for more deep dives into the hidden chapters of human history. Your support helps keep the channel alive, allowing us to uncover more stories that connect the ancient world with the lives we lead today. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode that sheds light on the mysteries of our ancestors. Together, we'll continue to peel back the layers of time and discover how the past still shapes the present.